In this video, I'm going to show how to use POPGROUP to explore a population projection and to produce charts and graphs of the projection itself. So we're going to focus on the National Records of Scotland 2016 based population projection, which we just replicated using POPGROUP. And if you remember from the previous video, when I specified the POPGROUP files that were used, I specified that those POPGROUP files associated with this projection were saved within the POPGROUP folder. So if I open that folder, I can see the three POPGROUP folders: our input folder, which contains the base population and assumptions around fertility, mortality and migration within that projection, and also an output folder. So it's this output folder that contains the results of the projection itself. So if I open this up, you can see a whole set of files, some of which I explored in the previous video. And I'm going to focus on one of these. So this is a file that is always includes a name which starts off with the word reports. And this allows us to produce graphs and charts of the population projection using a whole set of functionality that's built into POPGROUP. So if I open this folder, you can see straight away that it has a set of tabs at the bottom. So the first tab contains a sheet called Notes, and that just contains information on the projection itself. Then we have a tab called Reporter. This is what we use to produce tables showing population change in our projection. And then we have a charter function. So this is how we look at graphs of population change and change in other indicators over our projection period. So one of the first things we might want to do is to produce a graph of population change over the projection period. And we can do that using this part of the sheet: time series of components and population summaries. So I can click on select component population summary, and we can see all the various indicators that I can produce graphs of. So a whole set of statistics here that you can produce, from expectation of life to estimates of natural change and so on. But here I'm going to focus on all persons estimated or forecast. This is starting as my index year of 2016. I can click on produce the charts, and when I do that, I am returned a chart showing how population changes in Edinburgh in black here and East Dunbartonshire. So we can see slightly stronger growth in Edinburgh, over 20,000, well, over 50,000 from the start of the projection in 2016 to 2041, and more modest growth in East Dunbartonshire. So that's showing how the total population changes. We might be interested in looking at how population age structures change, and we can do that again in the Charter tab. Here we can run what's called the Flying Pyramids program. So if I click on that, I'll be taken to a new Excel sheet. And the first thing you want to do when you use the Flying Pyramids program is to decide which population groups you want to chart. So here I'm going to select Edinburgh, and I'll also select East Dunbartonshire, so we can look at the population age structures side by side. So straight away we can see the very different age structures in these two areas. In particular, Edinburgh has this bulge of population in those young adult ages from 20 to 40, reflecting employment opportunities in Edinburgh, but also opportunities around study. And we can see an older population age structure in East Dunbartonshire, with greater proportions of the population aged over 50. And in fact, what we can ask the Flying Pyramids program to do is give us the percentage of the population at a user-defined old age interval. So here the first year of old age is defined as 60, but I might change that to 65 to reflect pension age. And we can see 15% of the population in the city of Edinburgh of over 65 compared to 22% in East Dunbartonshire. And similarly, we can look at the population at the younger ages. So here the first year of the workforce age is set at 16. And we can see we have 15% of the population aged under 16 in Edinburgh compared to 17% in East Dunbartonshire. So what makes this a flying pyramid is the capacity to look at how that pyramid changes over time, over the projection period. So we can do this by clicking the slide bar at the top left of this sheet here to change the year. So I can scroll through the years of my projection and I can see how the population age structure changes between 2016 and 2041. And what we see in each of these areas is some evidence of the growth in the population at the older ages, particularly in East Dunbartonshire, where we have an increase to 28% of the population aged over 65 in 2041, compared to 22% of the population aged over 65 in 2016. So, a couple of examples of how we use the charter function. What I want to move on to now is how we use the reporter functions of POPGROUP. So if I select the reporter tab, what this allows us to do is look at how the numbers of person changes by age group and gender from the base year. And there's a lot of flexibility in how we specify our age groups, whether we want to look at males and females separately, and which particular population groups. So here, East Dunbartonshire and Edinburgh. And we can be flexible about the years of the projection that we ask POPGROUP to pull data from. So I'm going to leave age set up as 5-year groups. I'm going to alter gender to ask for not just all persons, but also males and females. I'm going to ask for each group and the total. So I'll ask for the projections for East Dunbartonshire and Edinburgh and the total of the two. And I'll leave this set for the base year and every 5 years. So once I've specified all those options, I can then ask POPGROUP to produce the report, and I need to give that a name. When I've given a name and clicked OK, you can see that POPGROUP has now pulled in this data. So I have the data for Edinburgh and East Dunbartonshire together. I'm stratifying by males, by gender, so I have the data from males and females, and you can see here the 5-year age groups going from 0 to 4 all the way up to a final age group of 90 plus. So this is for Edinburgh and East Dunbartonshire together. I can look at the data for the city of Edinburgh on its own, so I can see very quickly that the male population aged 0 to 4 is projected to decline slightly from 13,636 to 13,292 over the population period. So very useful in a planning sense around services that are aimed at particular ages. So if we're interested in school places, at primary school, we might be looking at the ages of 5 to 9 in particular, and 10 to 14 too, for the transition from primary to secondary. I can be very flexible about how I produce the report, so I might think I don't want to have 5-year age groups. I might want to specify things differently. I might want to choose my own age groups. So I might want to look at the child age group from 0 to 15, and I might want to look at the retirement age population, so from 65 up to 90, so 90 the final age in POPGROUP. And I might be interested in not producing this for the base year and every 5 years. I might simply want to select my own years, and I might be just interested in 2016 and 2041. So I have to hold down Shift here to select both of these 2 years. But if I click on OK, I've now changed the nature of the inquiry that POPGROUP is using to access data. Again, I can produce the report. And after I've named my report, POPGROUP will go away, pull in the data that I've asked it to get for me. So here we can see I've now just got 2 age groups, 0 to 15 and 65 plus. And if we look at Edinburgh, we can see that the 0 to 15 population is projected to increase from just under 40,000 to just over 41,000 over the projection period, but a much larger increase for the 65 plus population from 32,000 or nearly 33,000 to 55,000 by the end of the projection period. Another nice feature of the reporter tab and sheet is the capacity to produce analysis of population change between selected years. So if I select this, I can pick the first and last years of the forecast. And POPGROUP looks at how population changes over that period. So we have estimates for Eastern Bartonshire and the City of Edinburgh separately, as well as the total. But we can see the change in population in absolute terms, as well as a percentage. So we have a 15% increase in the population of the City of Edinburgh compared to around a 10% in Eastern Bartonshire. But I think what's particularly useful is that we can decompose that population change into two components. So we can decompose a population change into change that's due to natural change, so that's the difference between births and deaths over the projection period, and the change that's due to net migration, the difference between in and out migration. And we can see that in Edinburgh, both natural change and net migration contribute to the increase in population over the projection period. So we have an increase in population of 75,965 over the period 2016 to 2041. Around 24,000 of that is due to excess births over deaths, and around 50,000 of that is due to more people moving into Edinburgh than moving out. But in Eastern Bartonshire, we see quite a different picture. So here, Eastern Bartonshire is losing population as a result of natural change. So deaths outweighing births by 4,463 over the projection period. So without migration over this projection, the population of Eastern Bartonshire would be forecast to decline in size. So a quick look at how we can explore projections using the reports folder to produce a whole set of different graphs and tables showing us how population changes over the projection that we've just produced.